Ticket for one, please. Oh, I didn't see you there. You're probably wondering where we're at today. We're in Yorktown Heights, New York. We're at Railroad Park, and we're going to be visiting the Pine Bridge Monument. Behind me is a beautiful railroad station that was created in 1905, and it actually isn't what we're here to see today. It's another beautiful piece of architecture, and it was a train station up until I think about the 80s and ran all throughout Westchester. Beautiful landmark, but let's head over to what we came here to see. Further heading into Railroad Park, behind me, you will see the beautiful and gorgeous Pine Bridge Monument. An absolutely beautiful sight to behold. Standing right behind me is Christopher Green, and behind him are two of his valiant soldiers. And this is what we came here to see today. Now let's get into it. The year and date is May 14th, 1781. Dawn, right here in what is known as Yorktown Heights, New York, a nice little small town located in Westchester. However, it's a small detachment of American soldiers that were ambushed before the sun was fully even risen. Most of them were black men, most of them didn't survive, and for nearly 200 years, almost nobody even knew their names. I'm standing in Railroad Park in Yorktown Heights, and behind me is the Pine Bridge Monument, one of the most quietly powerful memorials of the entire American Revolution. This is the story of the Rhode Island Regiment, the Battle of Pine Bridge, and what this place chooses to remember. This monument was dedicated in 2018. It was sculpted by Thomas J. Warren, and what makes it immediately striking is how the three figures are coated in a beautiful bronze color. Colonel Christopher Green, a black soldier of the 1st Rhode Island Regiment, and Wampanoag Native American soldier. This is the first Revolutionary War memorial in the United States to depict all three races together in combat. And now if we pan it over here, you look at Green, beautiful sculpture. However, you look at his feet. You notice that the other two soldiers have shoes on, he does not. That's actually intentional. This was due to him not having enough time to put on his boots. It's a small little detail, but it makes the statue feel so much more realistic. Behind me right now is the black soldier featured in the monument, and he wears linen, a hunting frock, vest, and trousers, and a distinctive leather cap decorated with ostrich plume. Can you believe that? Its brim stitched up with painted insignia of an anchor, symbolizing Rhode Island maritime heritage. He could have been born free. He could have been enslaved, fighting for a country that had not yet freed him, in exchange for a promise of freedom. Now, you're probably wondering, who are these men? And to understand why this monument matters, you have to understand who the Rhode Island Regiment actually was. Rhode Island made one of the most historic contributions of any state in the American Revolution. They attempted formation of a regiment composed of enslaved men who enlisted under terms that, if met, would earn their freedom. Rhode Island recognized its regiments according to race in May 1778. Black and indigenous enlisted men served in the 1st Regiment, while white soldiers were transferred to the 2nd. Although the regiment had white officers, it became known as the Black Regiment. These weren't reluctant conscripts. Their very service in the Continental Line challenged misconceptions about enslaved men, capabilities, their courage, and their loyalty to American cause. And they had already proven themselves before they ever got to Westchester County. Now, if you take a look around you, the geography now then compared to 1781 is much different. And back in the day, when it came to these battles, geography meant everything. The regiment was stationed in what historians call the neutral ground, a 25-mile stretch of Hudson River Valley described as a desolate buffer zone between British forces to the south and Manhattan and American forces, defending the Hudson Highlands to the north. The original Pine Bridge was the sole crossing over the Croton River, a critical artery for Patriot communication and supply lines. Whoever held this bridge held the connection between the northern and southern Patriot positions. So this was a very important spot to be holding. Colonel Christopher Greene made his headquarters at the Davenport House. About 2 miles northwest of the bridge, Lieutenant Jeremiah Greene commanded a detachment of roughly 50 men at the bridge itself, a split position spread thin and difficult terrain with the enemy right to the south. Now, we're here. Let's talk about the attack. The Loyalists who hit this position weren't strangers to the land. They were locals. They knew the terrain. They had been watching, studying. Those Loyalists, they were saboteurs. They were local, they knew the terrain, and they were constantly gathering intelligence for the British. They spied on the regiment, and they knew exactly where they would be, a skeleton crew on duty at Pines Bridge, and they planned a sneak attack. At sunrise on May 14th, 1781, Colonel James de Lacy led a Loyalist militia of 60 dragoons and 200 infantrymen towards Pine Bridge. They crossed a shallow ford just west of the bridge and marched swiftly up the valley. One party attacked Greene's headquarters at the Davenport House. A second party stuck the guard at the bridge. The brutality that followed is often attributed to the Loyalists' particular hatred for Greene, for commanding an integrated unit that included many black soldiers. There is even an eyewitness account of the desire for revenge, expressed by one of Delancey's officers, who had previously been held under a guard of black soldiers. Even against all odds, and even with people against him, Christopher Greene held strong at the Pine Bridge. So, you're probably wondering where we are, because right now it looks like we're in the middle of the woods. However, you can take a quick little peek over there. You see a bridge. That is the Pines Bridge. Yes, we hiked through the woods to come see it. It's a little unsafe over there in that area. So now, let's get into the final stand of Christopher Greene. The fiercest fighting was at the Davenport House. The fiercest fighting was actually at the Davenport House. Greene died defending himself, sword in hand, and was very, very desperate in a victory. The black soldiers of the Rhode Island Regiment were reported to have defended their beloved Colonel Greene so well that it was only over their dead bodies that the enemy reached and murdered him. Greene's body was found in the woods about a mile from his tent, cut and mangled in the most shocking way. Punishment for having led black soldiers against them. Delancey's troops killed Colonel Greene, his second in command, Major Ebenezer Flagg, and at last 6 African-American soldiers, 2 more of their wounds. Two more of them died after battle due to their wounds. These men died here. They died protecting a bridge and protecting each other. And then nearly 2 centuries later, the country nearly forgot about them. Until this monument. Now, history is very important, and this is where things start to get mixed up. While the white officers, Greene and Flagg, were commemorated with a memorial stone, the soldiers of the integrated unit who died in the battle and whose burial locations are unknown, and they remained overlooked for over 200 years. It wasn't until May 13th, 1982, 2 centuries later, that the monument to the 1st Rhode Island Regiment was dedicated at the cemetery next to the officer's grave. And this monument right here behind me no longer behind me. And that wasn't dedicated until 2018. Think about that. 237 years passed before these men, a white colonel, a black soldier, a Native American soldier, stood together in bronze at the center of this town to defend it. That delay itself is a historical document. It tells us what the stories we choose to tell and which ones we want to let go and keep quiet. The Rhode Island Regiment went on after this. Under new command, they took part in the Siege of Yorktown in October 1781, the last major battle of the Revolution that helped end the war. But the men who fell here, black men fighting for the country that enslaved them, dying to protect a bridge, and a commanding officer who valued their lives. They didn't live to see the victory. They helped make it possible. This monument asks us to hold that contradiction. It doesn't resolve it, it just makes it visible. While we were standing in Railroad Park, the question, we begin to question on May 14th, 1781. It was a hard-fought battle. But the question is, why did it take till 2018 for their story to stand strong in the center of town? I, Christopher Renzo, now understand a little bit more of what happened at Pine Bridge and have a better understanding of the Revolutionary War. And I'm glad to present you this documentary/project, as I think it'll be very informative. Thank you so much. Thank you for the great semester.